the sky over New Geneva burned. It wasn't just an explosion. It wasn't just an attack. It was a deliberate, calculated extermination of innocence. A children's hospital, a beacon of hope and healing, had been turned into a crater of fire and dust. The Ureth Dominion, a species that claimed to be above human barbarism, had done this. Their sleek warships, invisible to planetary defenses, had descended from orbit and launched a fusion warhead at a hospital full of sick and injured children. For 10 seconds there was silence. Then the screaming began. Parents who had stepped outside for air found their children gone. Doctors who had sworn an oath to heal now stood covered in their patients' ashes. The world had changed in an instant. Across the galactic network, humanity's enemies laughed. The Ureth boasted that this was a necessary warning to prevent resistance. The problem? Humanity wasn't known for submitting. We tried diplomacy. They chose war. At that moment, something inside the human race snapped. It wasn't grief. It wasn't shock. It was something far more terrifying, cold, unrelenting wrath. The President of Earth didn't give a speech. There was no council meeting. No negotiations. Instead, every human warship in every system received one message. Kill them all. The Black Fleet awakens. The Ureth Dominion had fought wars before. They had crushed a dozen civilizations. They had never met an enemy they could not break. But they had never pushed humanity this far. The 5th Human Expeditionary Fleet, known by its unofficial name, the Black Fleet, was activated. These weren't just warships. These were planet killers, dreadnoughts, Black Ops units, and AI-driven supercarriers that had never seen open deployment. The flagship HSV Acheron received its final orders. Burn them out of history. Within an hour, the largest human armada ever assembled began moving toward Ureth space. There was no declaration of war. There were no warnings. Only a funeral pyre waiting to be lit. First contact with the butchers. The Ureth High Command sat in their golden citadel, drinking the finest liquors of their empire, laughing at the weakness of humans. Then their warning alarms blared. A lone human ship, a scout corvette, had appeared at the edge of their home system. This wasn't an invasion fleet. This wasn't a battle group. It was a single vessel. Mockingly, the Ureth commander opened a comm channel. Have you come to surrender? The human captain, his uniform still covered in the ashes of the hospital ruins, spoke only 3 words. We are coming. Then the corvette self-destructed, wiping out the Ureth station before they could scream. Seconds later, hundreds of human ships jumped into the system. And the slaughter began. The wrath of a species pushed too far. Humanity didn't just attack. They erased. Ureth stations burned. Their colonies were glassed. Their fleets, proud armadas that had ruled the stars for centuries, were torn apart in minutes. Then humanity did something unthinkable. They disabled a Ureth dreadnought, boarded it, and broadcast the captain's screams across the entire Dominion. This is mercy, the human admiral whispered. Then he threw the captain out of an airlock without a suit. The Ureth panicked. They begged the Galactic Council to intervene. But the Council had seen the footage of the hospital. No one was coming to save them. The war had begun, and it would end in extinction. The Ureth Dominion was learning what it meant to fight humanity at its worst. For centuries they had crushed weaker civilizations under their boots. They had fought battles where their fleets outnumbered the enemy 10 to 1. But this wasn't a battle. This wasn't even a war. This was an execution. The fall of Ureth Prime. The skies of Ureth Prime, the Dominion's capital world, were supposed to be impenetrable. Defensive platforms ringed the planet, their plasma cannons powerful enough to rip apart entire battlecruisers. Elite legions of warbeasts patrolled the ground, standing ready for any invasion. But none of it mattered. The 5th Human Expeditionary Fleet didn't arrive with a battle plan. They arrived with one goal: erase the Ureth from history. The first wave, a rain of fire. Humanity's fleet didn't waste time with negotiations. Acheron, the flagship dreadnought, led the charge. It unleashed the first bombardment, deploying orbital kinetic strikes that turned Ureth Prime's outer defenses into rubble. The aliens barely had time to react. The second wave followed, autonomous assault drones, thousands of them, each carrying fusion warheads. They broke through the atmosphere like a storm of fire, targeting military installations, power grids, and communication hubs. In less than 2 hours, Ureth Prime had lost all planetary defenses. Panic spread. And then the third wave arrived. The drop troops, bringing hell to the surface. The Ureth were used to enemies fighting from orbit. They had planetary shields, anti-air defenses, and underground bunkers. What they weren't prepared for was humans dropping straight onto their cities. From orbit, drop pods rained down, each carrying a single armored assault trooper. These weren't just soldiers. They were walking tanks, clad in next-generation power armor. The first humans hit the ground in the ruins of the Dominion's high command. And they did not take prisoners. Ureth warriors, elite soldiers who had conquered entire species, died in seconds. Their weapons were useless against the human war machines. Their armor crumbled. Their cities turned to slaughterhouses. Some Ureth tried to surrender. The humans burned them alive. The message to the galaxy. As the human army carved through Ureth Prime, the rest of the galaxy watched in horror. For years, the Dominion had mocked humanity, called them weak, naive creatures. Now those same humans had taken the Dominion's capital in less than a day. And they weren't stopping. The human admiral broadcast a message across the galactic network. A video appeared, a single human soldier standing over the shattered body of a Ureth commander. His voice was cold as death itself. You call this war. We call it justice. Then he executed the commander on live broadcast. The galaxy went silent. Extinction is the only mercy left. The Ureth High Command had fled to their final bastion, the fortress world of Kyralos. It was the last remaining stronghold of their empire. Every ship, every soldier, every last warrior of the Ureth had gathered there. They thought it would be their last stand. But humanity had other plans. The Black Fleet was already en route. And when they arrived, no one would be left alive. The last of the Ureth Dominion had fled to Kyralos, their most fortified world. They believed that here they could resist the human onslaught. They were wrong. Humanity wasn't here to conquer. They were here to annihilate. Kyralos, the last bastion. The fortress world was built for one purpose, to outlast sieges. Its planetary shields were reinforced with triple-layered energy barriers, strong enough to withstand sustained bombardment. Orbital batteries blanketed the skies, capable of turning entire fleets into dust. Underground, miles of bunkers stretched deep into the planet's core, housing billions of civilians and soldiers alike. But none of that mattered. Not against humanity's wrath. The Black Fleet arrived in orbit without warning. 100 warships, each bristling with weapons that could shatter moons. And then, without hesitation, they unleashed hell. Scorched Earth Protocol. Humans didn't attack the defenses. They didn't launch ground forces. They burned the atmosphere itself. Specialized plasma warheads were detonated in high orbit, igniting a planetary firestorm. The very air turned into an inferno, a superheated storm that spread faster than any living thing could run. Ureth cities melted. Oceans boiled away. Entire mountain ranges collapsed under the sheer heat. In less than 4 hours, Kyralos was reduced to a lifeless rock. There were no survivors. The message was clear. The broadcast went out across the galaxy. The entire war had been live-streamed, every horrific second of it. And then a final message from the Supreme Commander of Earth's War Council. This is the cost of your sins. This is the fate of butchers. Let it be a warning to the rest of you. The screen cut to a view of Kyralos from orbit, a dead, blackened husk where a thriving world had once been. A warning to all who thought they could cross humanity. The galactic response, fear. Across the universe, empires reeled in terror. The Ureth Dominion had been one of the most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. And now they were gone. Not defeated. Erased. No surrender. No peace talks. Only fire and blood. The Galactic Council convened in desperation. Many had mocked humanity, treated them as newcomers, weak and irrelevant. Now, they begged for peace. They pleaded to know if humanity would stop. If humanity could stop. But the humans gave no answer. Instead, the Black Fleet vanished into deep space. Their weapons still armed. Their next target unknown. The future of the galaxy had changed. Humanity had been pushed too far. Once they had sought diplomacy. Now they were monsters clad in steel. A new fear spread among the stars. If one act of cruelty, one nuked hospital, could turn humans into this, what would happen if someone dared to hurt Earth itself? They had begged for peace. The Galactic Council, once arrogant and dismissive, now trembled before their own screens, watching live feeds of entire planets turn to dust. The Black Fleet had vanished, but its shadow loomed over every star system. Humanity's message was clear. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And they weren't finished yet. The Council's desperation. Inside the vast chamber of the Galactic Council, a meeting was in chaos. Representatives from 100 empires screamed at one another, fear palpable in their voices. They wiped out an entire species. One diplomat cried, her scales rippling with terror. Not just wiped out, they erased them from history. Another shouted. World after world offered unconditional surrender, pleading for humanity's mercy. Some proposed alliances, swearing undying loyalty. Others whispered of desperate retaliation, but no one dared to say it out loud. Because everyone knew the truth. There was no stopping humanity now. Not after what had been done. The search for the Black Fleet. Entire spy networks mobilized, scanning the void for signs of Earth's warships. Every jump point, every relay station, every known human colony was under constant surveillance. Yet the Black Fleet remained a ghost, appearing and disappearing at will. They were like revenge itself, a force of nature. Until they reappeared. The day the sky went dark. When the Black Fleet finally revealed itself again, it wasn't to conquer. It was to warn. Thousands of warships appeared above the capital world of the Galactic Council, blocking out the sun. They did not fire. They did not speak. Then, a single message was broadcast across the entire known universe. The war is over when we say it is. And then, as quickly as they arrived, they were gone, leaving behind a galaxy that would never know peace again. Humanity's final fate. No one dared challenge Earth again. Empires collapsed rather than face humanity's wrath. Civilizations rewrote history, erasing records of past conflicts with humans, pretending they had always been allies. But fear never faded. Because the Black Fleet was still out there, somewhere in the darkness. Waiting. Watching. For the next time someone was foolish enough to test humanity's patience. This is humanity now. Not conquerors. Not diplomats. The galaxy's executioners. And all it took was one bomb on a children's hospital to make it so. Fire, did humanity go too far? Or was it justice? Let me know in the comments. Cross Swords, subscribe now, because this war is never truly over.